Advance Avenger X, which is implied by its name is a spin-off series to the Hazard Striker Gunvolt games. In X2, you are playing as a character named...
Yeesh, that's enough of that. How about we switch to something a little bit more positive, shall we? What's Gucci, Cliff Cappers? This is Bman here, and we're just gonna take a break from your usual dose of J-pop, booba, and Inti shenanigans to bring you all something just a little different. That's why I'm here to give y'all a quick rundown of some games I've been playing in my spare time, and hopefully give Cliff a well-deserved break so he can properly inhale those sweet, sweet Inti fumes. And we'll check up on him later. Death's Door is an isometric action-adventure game from the developers of Acid Nerf and published by our good old friends at Devolver Digital all the way back in 2021. Hey, remember 2021? Feels like just yesterday. So basically what I'm going to do is split this video into 3 parts. Basically I'm going to go over what I think makes this game stand out from the rest of the crowd. First off, we got the vibes. Then we got Zelda-like. And last but not least, we gotta talk about death. Let's start off with one of my most absolute favorite parts of this game, the vibes. Now the art style is pretty simplistic but serviceable, with some really interesting boss designs and pretty good music. It really makes you feel like you're a murderous soul-reaping crow. In addition, the game really does have a really good number of diverse locations that really help immerse you into this strange world full of, extravagant mansions, grandiose rooms, and chandeliers with authentic spiderwebs. You also got forest ruins overtaken by carnivorous plants. Where have I seen this before?
Oh my god!
And lastly, you got icy mountaintops where one wrong step and you'll end up falling to your doom. Even though you're a crow, and last time I checked, crows can fly, right? I don't know. I don't have a degree in crows. My degree is more in leanomics.
I love lean!
Each area feels distinct with their own musical scores that really help bring them to life as you explore hidden nooks and crannies and secrets. And although I may be hacking, slashing, exploding, rolling, igniting, fighting, feeling, healing through hordes of enemies, the experience just wouldn't be the same without the great music and sound design. I also want to point out that the characters are just absolutely charming. Yes, that includes you, Grandma. Oh, what big, terrifying eyes you have. There are plenty of weirdos you'll encounter on your venture, like Chandler the Handler, your overworked, underpaid coworker, Steed Hone, the immortal sad boy gravedigger, and who can forget Barb the Bard, who cranks that thing when you triumphant. The dialogue is just charming and hilarious, without trying to be too super wacky or even too meta. Thanks to clever writing, certain characters even stuck around with me even after I beat the game. As you explore the world, you even find these cool little neat trinkets that serve as collectibles that you can observe and look around with. They really help expand the game's lore.
Ooh, shiny.
Well, you're probably asking yourself, well, Bman, how do I interact with this world? Well, I'm glad you asked, my nasally congested friend. The same way you interact with most video game worlds. Violence.
Double kill, triple kill.
On to my next point. Zelda-like. Look, everybody here and their mama knows at least a little bit of the Legend of Zelda franchise. It would only make sense that developers would take inspiration from one of the top cheeses on the charcuterie board of video games. The combat is very accessible. You can perform 2 to 3 hit combos, a charge attack, and even a rolling attack, and yeet back any projectiles back at enemies. You also have access to magic projectiles that require magic points to use. Thankfully, gaining magic points back is as simple as just hitting something. If you choose to go off the beaten path, you can also acquire new weapons like hammers and the also trusty umbrella, or by upgrading your tools.
Tools!
Tools, duct tape, zip ties, and gloves. I have to have my tools.
These are going to be essential to traversing the world, and it even opens up some pretty cool combat maneuvers. And if you're observant enough and clean that Dorito dust out your eyes, you may even find valuable hidden secrets to increase your health for magic points. That switch is pretty far away. If only I had some type of arrow-like projectile. A cracked wall? If only I could blow it up some way. Have these observations hooked you yet? Generally, combat is pretty straightforward. Most enemies you can defeat with relative ease, and it works pretty well without getting too frustrating. I mean, that can actually be a challenge when you deal with many, and I do mean many, enemies at once. And there's also some decent enemy variety. Some have shields, or some fire off projectiles, enough to keep you on your toes, but not really sweep you off your feet. I would like to see a bit more enemy variety for some extra challenge, but hey, we're not playing Dark Souls here. While none of these aspects are special to the Legend of Zelda series, you can clearly see the inspirations, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. Thankfully, the game doesn't do any of these to death. And speaking of death, let's move over to my last point. Never to suffer, never to have been blessed. Edgar Allan Poe. Inevitable and sometimes sexy, the concept of death is the main theme of the game, honestly. And I mean, it's right there. It's right there in the name. I mean, the entire reason why you're venturing on this quest anyway is to gather these 3 giant souls to open up the ominous Death's Door. This is all because some boomer crow goes, "Hey there, youngster, I'm sorry, but it seems I've forgotten something. I think it was my keys. It's just behind this door. Please help. I'm old and in the way. By the way, this is going to be a spoiler alert, so if you're not trying to have the story spoiled for you, then just skip ahead to this time. No pressure. Our first stop takes us to an extravagant manor, home to the Witch of Erns. You know, Grandma Big Eyes. The Witch of Erns was obsessed with immortality, and while her magic allowed her to live a long and successful life, she had trouble doing the same for her sweet grandson. So what does any reasonable grandmother do for her sweet, sweet grandson? Why, they turn their heads into pots filled with that ganja gruel, of course.
Smoke weed every day.
She thought she could avoid death through science experimentation, but it's time to teach her that sometimes science
He's a liar sometimes.
Oh boy.
Next, we got the King of the Swamp.
Somebody.
The other King of the Swamp. The Frog King. The Frog King just be chilling his fortress, past the ancient forest, of course. Hey, new enemies, new faces, new problems. At least I have Barb to hype me up. Hit it, Barb.
Coochie down to the socks like I'm Biggie Papa.
Afterwards, it's time for some good old-fashioned dungeon crawling. The Frog King himself will just sit there and spit slander at you, all the while you're just questing, moving along. Soon enough, you'll be knocking at his throne room doors, but not before taking on what feels like his entire goon squad. Flip some switches, flip his lid, and watch him croak into the afterlife. I believe the Frog King was trying to escape death by obtaining power. Unfortunately, a fortress and a buttload of underlings to command sadly just isn't enough. Get your money up, not your funny up.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Lastly, we're flapping our way to the chilly mountain summit to take down a legendary beast whose strength is told to be unmatched. The chain hook is going to be your best friend here. You're going to be zipping your way across these canyons in no time. I mean, all that zippity-doo-dying later sure makes a reaper hungry. Might as well stop at my favorite restaurant, the Stranded Sailor, for some top-notch soup from my favorite, totally human, NPC. Back to the mountain it is. The last giant soul awaits us. We enter the arena. The legendary creature is upon us, and it's called Betty with the good hair. Betty's slain, and we collect the last of the giant soul. Now, I had a harder time figuring out how Betty fits into the theme of death here, but let me take a shot at it. Possibly what I'm thinking is that even the most legendary beasts or greatest of tales will eventually just be lost to time like everything else. Death comes for everything. Your journey is almost complete. You return to the old crow to hand him the giant souls that you've collected throughout your adventure. The Death's Door's ominous presence looms across the horizon. You use the souls to open the door just to discover that if you want to know the ending, just play the game or watch a playthrough. Trust me, it's worth it. Altogether, Death's Door was a really enjoyable game from start to finish. Solid mechanics, interesting themes, and fun level design, and let's not forget fantastic music. It didn't need to break the mold or reinvent the wheel in order to be a great time. I highly advise you, if you got the time and the money to just go out and buy it. I think it's currently sitting around $20 on most platforms. That's a steal, honestly. This has been the first, and hopefully not last, Brothaman breakdown. Hope y'all enjoyed it. Hey, and special shout out to Cliff, my man, for forcing, giving me the help I needed to get the video out to all of you. Let's check on how he's doing. Yeah.
Whew, those Inti fumes are strong. Alright, Bman, appreciate you coming in with this video, and Cliff Cappers, please give a brother some love so that we can hopefully get him to do this again. Just popping in at the end here to let y'all know that I did not forget about Gunvolt 3. We are pretty deep into production on that one. Still no ETA on that yet. I'm working on the audio track still, but it'll be up as soon as possible. Hopefully these bastards won't announce X3 or something while I'm waiting, but you know. Alright, appreciate y'all tuning in. I'll see you again soon.